and welcome to TheraBytes, where we bring you bite-sized episodes, each one a piece of the puzzle that helps to explain the therapy world, the research behind it all, and how it relates to families. Hello, my name is Dr. Dana Poole. I'm a physiotherapist and the clinical lead at the Healthy Strides Foundation. It is my privilege to be hosting this podcast, one that is directed for parents of children with neurodisabilities. We hope to be able to answer some of your questions through this format. But to navigate our way through these big questions, we have the one and only, the lovely Naresha co-hosting this podcast. Welcome, Naresha.
Good morning, everybody. How are you all out there?
We're fine.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
I hope everyone is doing well.
Oh, I hope so too.
We're well and truly into winter in Australia now.
Yes, that's right.
Not so. One of it's sunny. Oh, actually, I think it's really hot in Europe. Definitely in Greece.
Really?
They had to close down access to the ancient sites because it was so hot.
Oh, that's a shame. Because that's what people go there
I
for,
know.
right?
Imagine traveling all that way. And
Oh.
it's 43 degrees and everyone's dying because it's so hot. And
I know.
we're in winter here. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, well, should be thankful for whatever you've got. I
know.
reckon.
That's
Yes.
right. Gratefulness. We talked about that. That's really good for your
right.
brain.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about good for your brain. A great segue actually bringing up the Mediterranean because
Wow.
we're going to talk about the Mediterranean diet here.
Okay.
And we all know that olive oil the Mediterranean diet is really good for cardiovascular benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But recently published in JAMA Network Open, so a big journal, they found that olive oil consumption may cut our dementia mortality risk by nearly 30%.
Wow.
So just consuming more than a teaspoon of olive oil daily could reduce your risk of dying from dementia, and that replacement of margarine or mayonnaise with olive oil could reduce that risk.
Oh,
Olive oil.
right.
Magic.
So that means that we don't only have to have, the olive oil. We can have the olive oil in the margarine now. That helps or not?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that how I understand it?
Well, maybe I think it's just replacing your margarine with olive oil.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's going to be a bit hard. Oh. Wow.
But I guess, have you heard of people who, so many years ago I went to Italy and we stayed in a place where it was an olive oil farm.
Okay.
And Nonna Maria, of course her name was Nonna Maria, would come by every day with a bottle of olive oil. And at first I thought, this olive oil is to last me the whole 2 weeks I'm here.
Yeah.
But every morning she'd come with a whole proper bottle of olive oil. And I'm like, I'm meant to do something else with this, aren't I? This is not just for my few tablespoons of my cooking.
Right. Yep.
Clearly I'm meant to do more. So I was like, okay then. So I was glug, 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 on everything. Bread, dip it in there. But clearly the fact that she was giving me that much olive oil meant that that's how much they're consuming.
Wow. How often did you come around?
Every day.
Oh, every day.
Every
My
day.
goodness.
She'll put a bottle of red wine and white wine at the front. I don't drink, so that left for everyone else. Everyone's quite pleased.
Yep.
And a whole bottle, same size of olive oil. So about 600 mils a day. And there was a few of us there, but still.
I think that you'd have still excess of that if you're going to be dropped off daily.
Yes. So there's something to be said about how much is consumed. So maybe, we know it's good for our cardiovascular health and now we know it's also good for our brain.
Yeah.
All those good fats.
Very
It's always
good.
about the good fats, isn't it?
I know. And it's always the hardest, right? Medicine, they never taste good. What a shame.
Well, the olive oil, I don't know whether it helps if you put a bit of seasoning, a bit of salt. Not so good for your blood pressure.
But then it's kind of changed the natural flavours of it.
You do,
right?
you do. And there's definitely the difference between good olive oil and bad olive oil.
Yeah, right.
And the price point always tells you. Well, there you go, everyone. Have a bit more olive oil in your diet and it'll be good for your brain as well as your heart. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that's helpful. But, olive oil. There you go.
All right. I'll keep that noted. Wow. All right. Shall we move on to the question?
Let's move on.
Let's get on to the serious topic
the
right
Mediterranean
now.
diet.
I know. It makes me want to go there. Hello. All right. So the question for today that I've got is more along goal setting. Now, I know we probably mentioned it right at the beginning of our podcast when we first started.
Yeah, yeah.
But I thought, that's a major question. I mean, why do we set it?
Yes.
And then, is it realistic? Is it achievable?
Yes.
And I guess there's a lot involved in goal setting. I mean, you think it's just setting goals, benchmarks, make sure you improve.
Yep.
What do you reckon?
Look, I'm a huge fan of goal setting.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So let's start with that. That's definitely my bias. But I mean, maybe going back to even just not even in this area, there's a lot of people doing study and research in why we even set goals for us as humans anyway.
Yep.
And there is huge power and importance in setting goals because without it, we don't tend to know what we're doing from day to day. We do. Right. That's right.
Yep. Just have fun.
Bit directionless.
Yeah.
And so setting goals really helps to create focus and directs your resources where they need to be because, you know, we have access to a whole lot of different resources. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about time, your energy. And if we direct it in all different directions, you know, you can live and not go anywhere. And so there's a huge power in goals. So whether it's a weight loss goal, whether it's a fitness goal, they're the ones we tend to think about. But, you know, what about our own mental health goals? And what about goals about friendships and family? And, you know, there's good things because they help you to prioritize and put that at the forefront. People are really good at setting goals about, you know, their business or their work and things like that. But I'm a huge fan of also just setting good sort of personal goals about, you know, I want to make sure I spend, you know, 2 hours a week just focusing on myself and or spending an hour a week with making sure I go out for dinner with friends or not an hour. I eat more than that. But, you know, just sometimes those are really good because they direct your resource and your attention towards it.
Yeah, I guess so.
So they're important. Do you set goals for yourself?
To be honest, sometimes. But I guess I should do more often, I reckon.
Well, I think as a parent, you tend to do a lot of goal setting for everyone around you.
Correct.
Right.
And I think that's what happens in my situation. I think I do that for those around me. But when you self-reflect and think about, oh, what am I going to achieve? Yeah, that's something that I need to think about more.
Yeah, and it's so important. And so even on that, if you're a busy person, busy parent, you're running around everywhere, you know, helping your children to achieve their goals, and we'll get to their goals in a second, but even just talking about ourselves so we really relate to it, if you were to then set a goal for a busy person to go, my goal is every week I'm going to spend 10 hours with my friends. The question is that it's pretty specific. Like, you know, we talk about SMART goals. Is it specific? Yes. Is it measurable? Yes. I've got 10 hours. Is it achievable and realistic?
Yeah. That's
in that time frame? So that's the SMART goals. Well, is it realistic for you to actually carve out 10 hours? So, and the reason why it's worthwhile going through that is because if it's not realistic and achievable, what's going to happen after your first week? You're like, oh, I didn't achieve it. Give up.
That's right.
Right. So you do need to think about what's incrementally possible.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll get it wrong, but that's how you learn to then set something that's quite realistic. You also don't want to go, like, just to make yourself feel good, like I already spend so much time with my friends. I aim to spend 2 hours with my friends each week. But, you know, you get to 10, you're like, whoa, oh my God, that's so amazing. Like I'm just over, you know, you want to set something that's realistic to your life, right?
Yes,
and that's probably more, I don't know if that's realistic for many people, maybe Gen Z, I don't know. But that's a realistic component for the baby. Us millennials, and I don't know, it's hard.
True. I get it.
So that's about directing our resources. So when it comes to what we do in therapy, you know, sometimes setting goals, you can kind of do a bit of an eye roll and go, oh, I'm going to set goals. But when you think about it, when you come to therapy, there's often a lot of things you need to work on.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you go, okay, I want to work on speech, I want to work on communication, I want to work on their verbal skills, and you've got all those elements. I want them to listen better. I want them to use their hands better. I want them to be able to go to the toilet by themselves. I want them to take more steps by themselves. You're like, whoa, that's a lot to throw at someone, right?
That's right.
So we got to go, okay, let's be realistic because we have to live life.
Yep, that's right.
There's only so much time. How can I best direct my resources? All those things, time, energy, attention to something. And so that's why we sort of would recommend at any one time maybe having 3 to 5 maximum, no more than 5, like goals to work on.
Sure.
And that way you can direct all of your therapists to go, okay, this is my priority. You are signaling to yourself, this is my priority. So when I'm at home, these are my priorities too. And at school, my therapist, this is what we're all going to direct our energy towards. And so when we can achieve them, we can go, we've achieved it.
Yep.
Rather than having 10 goals and not achieving any of them.
Yeah, that's right.
You've achieved the 3 goals and then you can move on with it. It's incredibly important. And without goals, you could end up just spending all your time doing a whole bunch of everything but really nothing.
Yep, and wasting resources as
Absolutely.
well, right? And that's, and that's, what do you call it, very hard to get.
So much. Like your resource, like money-wise, it's hard, right? Think about your funding. But, man, time, where do you get that from?
That's right.
You know, if you keep directing it at things that there's too much and you don't actually get anywhere at the end of it, that I feel like that's really disheartening.
Oh, definitely. Sure. Yeah. So I guess goals, I mean, obviously when you're setting it, you need to have a particular time and be real about the goals too, right? And I mean, as much as we say goals, I guess when it comes to taking these kids to therapy, we need to pinpoint it exactly the importance of it and at what stage of their life, you know, obviously, you know, don't put too much of a hard goal for somebody that's still quite, you know, small, as in like set goals to that particular time of development.
That's so true.
Right?
Like developmentally appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if you made a goal of a 2-year-old to be able to walk everywhere independently, well, I'm like, well, actually most 2-year-olds anyway, without any mobility restrictions, how many times would they go, pick me up?
Yeah, that's right.
Put me in the pram. Like they're not actually walking that long distances. So we need to be really realistic in terms of our expectations. And that's where the whole, you know, the SMART goals. I used to always roll my eyes at uni. They're like, is it a SMART goal? And now I'm like, oh gosh, it's true. Like, you know, is it specific? Like, is it walking? Is it toileting?
Yep.
Is it communication? Like what is it specifically?
Yep.
That way you can measure it. That's the next one.
Right.
So otherwise you kind of go, I think they've improved. I feel like they've improved.
Yeah.
You want something quite objective. Like measure it and assess it properly.
And also something functional too, right?
Yes,
because you want them to have a purpose and be able to do it.
Yes.
And then be able to do it outside the therapy world, into the real world.
Yes.
Right?
Like, okay, so a good example that sometimes people set goals is like, I want to be able to stand on one leg for 30 seconds. And I'm like, jeepers, man, I can't remember the last time I stood on one leg for 30 seconds. And every time I do like have to go on one leg, I'm like, ha, see? And then like, you know, it might be that the reason why we often need to stand on one leg is if we want to kick a ball, you want to be able to transfer your weight. So then kick a ball. I want to go up and down stairs because you want to have one leg after the other. Well, practice stairs.
That's right.
So, you know, just balancing on that is a good kind of personal achievement goal maybe, and, you know, you can work on that, but let's be functional. So the functional goal is, I want them to single leg stance for why? Because I want them to go up and down stairs.
That's right.
Kick a ball. Therefore work on those things. So be specific and be functional.
Yeah, that's true.
So then you can measure it. So can they go up and down 3 steps? Yes or no? How much support do they need? How long can they sit for before I need to help? How many words can they say that I can understand in a sentence? You know, something really measurable. And then, like you said, achievable in that time. So is it achievable to expect a child who is just getting up on their feet to walk 200 meters? Well, maybe not yet. Because, you know, then we undermine the fact that they can walk 5 meters, which is actually really amazing in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then if you go, I was hoping for 100 meters, you'd just be disappointed.
That's right.
Right? So you want to be realistic with that child and then always set a time frame. So you want it to be like, you know, I want to achieve this in the next 2 months. I want to, and when you look at, I always look at weight loss stuff because it's probably the biggest, most dominant thing around, or fitness goals.
Of course.
They're always like, get fit in 6 weeks, lose 10 kilos in 8 weeks. Like they're all very specific numbers, but the lower the number, you kind of go, ooh, I think I could do that. But then, man, you have the things you have to do. I'm like, I'm not prepared to sacrifice, man.
That's right. Well, I roll at those things. Hello.
So I would go, look, I'd rather lose that weight instead of losing 10 kilos in, 3 months. I'd rather do that over the year.
Correct.
And then I could still live a really happy life. But that's what's achievable for me. I'm not saying I want to lose 10 kilos. Don't worry. I'm very content with life. But that's the thing, right?
Yes.
What's motivating you. So the time frame is really, really important. Yeah.
No, I think I agree with that.
How many goals would you say that you think you've got on the run at the moment? Because, I mean, it'll be the same for your boy. Like he's got some communication goals. He's got some hand skill goals. He's got some ability.
But me?
You? Yeah.
You? Are you asking
Or
me?
both. You and your boy. Like how many
my
goals?
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't really thought about him. Not in this context, obviously. But I mean, he sets his own goals because the other day he goes to me, Mum, so do you think I can walk with one crutch? And I said, well,
Trust you to push barriers. Dude.
He keeps doing that and doesn't realise how exhausting his body is. But, you know, and I said to him, look, you've just managed crutches. Yeah. And I said, you're doing a wonderful job. Let's just concentrate on that for a bit. And I said, maybe, I don't know, give it a year.
Yeah.
And then let's try it.
I think that's really, really healthy. Sometimes it's good just to consolidate something and to teach. It's not, you don't always have to go to the next level.
Correct.
And sometimes that's a good goal.
No rush.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And sometimes that's the goal.
Yep.
Sometimes the goal is just to like, let's maintain this for the next year. That's a great goal.
Yeah,
it doesn't always have
right.
to be like, I need more.
Yep.
More.
Yeah.
Give me more.
Got to enjoy it, I think. Enjoy that last success.
Yes.
Give it time.
Yes.
And then when you're ready,
yes,
your body and your mind knows when you're ready.
Life is for living.
Next goal.
Yeah, life is for living. And so I would highly encourage everyone to think about for themselves and for their child to set a goal that's really personally driven, that's really fulfilling. Otherwise, we're too task oriented. Like, you know, maybe the goal is I want to, for your child, it might be for them to make sure they hang out with their friends.
Yes, that's right.
You know, like they have a friend to come over once every 2 weeks, whatever you can handle, play dates. That's right.
Every school holidays I recommend.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. Do things like that where it's just, and that's a good goal.
Yep.
That's actually really meaningful and it puts everything together. It doesn't always have to be a therapy goal. Like we've got to be careful not just to make therapy goals.
That's right.
And then for ourselves, just to make a goal about a fulfilling life, something that would enrich us because you can only give to your child and to your family and to your friends if your cup is full.
Place,
yeah.
That's true.
So
I agree with that.
let's set some goals. All right.
Cool.
Good one. Thank you very much. Hope everyone that helped people. We'll talk to you all again really soon. Thanks, everyone.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.